as we get ready for U.S. Nationals coming up, I think that there's going to be a lot of American records that are going to be broken, or people are going to be taking attempts at breaking those records. And it kind of started the conversation about what it takes to break American records. And one thing that I think people are missing is it takes a lot of creativity to break an American record or even a world record. By the nature of it, you're doing something that's never been done before. So you are creating something new. Too many people look at weightlifting as just this physical endeavor, and they forget about the creativity that it takes to break American records. There was recently a post up where somebody said, you don't need to reinvent the wheel to break American records. You just need to follow what's been given for you. And I wholeheartedly disagree with that. I think it's total bullshit. How many people do you know who have broken a world record and were like, oh, I just followed so-and-so's training program. I just did exactly what they did and ended up with a better result. It doesn't happen that way. When you try to break records, you have to introduce something new, something different, something more creative. So then the question comes, what do I need to do to be more creative? And it's pretty complex. It's not a simple answer. So what is it that we need to do to be more creative? Well, we have to take all your training into consideration. We have to look at your sleep, your mental skills, your nutrition, your recovery, your exercise selection. We have to look at all those things in the bigger, broader picture to see where areas are lacking and see where we can maybe change things up, use new technology, use new data to help us solve this problem of lifting more weight. So this need to be more creative to break these American records. We're having a few athletes who we think are going to push the envelope for American records. And that's naturally going to create the question of, well, what are you doing at Lift Lab that's different than so-and-so gym, or what's been done before in American weightlifting? And again, the answer is not so simple, because at Lift Lab we're using a comprehensive approach to attack your training. So let's start talking about the thing that nobody's talking about, your sleep. Sleeping seems so simple, yet it's so complicated and so overlooked by many athletes, weightlifters alike. And when you sleep, we know, and we now have access to new data that tells us how you should sleep. And it sounds silly because you think I just hit the pillow and I close my eyes and I go to bed and that's it. But what we have now is we have monitoring systems that determine our level and our quality of sleep. So at Lift Lab, we're giving general, scientifically proven tips and tricks to hacking or maximizing your sleep. The first thing that we need our athletes to understand is that your body works in 90-minute sleep cycles. Okay, so you don't necessarily have to get your 8 hours of sleep all at once. All right, really, 7.5 hours of sleep is 5 90-minute sleep cycles. Okay, that should be adequate enough to give you the rest and recovery that you need. If for some reason you don't get your 5 90-minute sleep cycles, that's okay. You can make it up during the day with a 20-minute nap or a 90-minute nap, depending on how many sleep cycles you didn't get. So the question is going to be, well, how do I know if I made it through my sleep cycles? Well, we use a monitoring app for that. There's the Oura Ring, and there's also Whoop app. And we use the Whoop app with the majority of our athletes to monitor their sleep. And what will happen is when you wake up in the morning, it's going to give you a reading. It's going to tell you how much time you spent in each of the sleep cycles. Okay? The general rule for our athletes is every sleep cycle that you are short 5, okay? So if you only got 4 sleep cycles in, you're short 1. You need to take either a 30-minute nap or a 90-minute nap. Okay, we never try to be in between that 30 and 90 minutes, because you get into parts of the sleep cycle that if you get woken up from that, you're going to feel a little bit groggy. Okay, the quality of sleep that you have and your ability to go through all those sleep cycles is predicated on your sleeping environment. All right, you need to be in a position where you're in a neutral spine. Okay, research shows us that a lot of the sleep data is biologically driven. Okay, so how we want our athletes to sleep, and this is getting into detail, but again, remember, you're doing this so that your athletes have an edge. All right, I need my athletes to lay on their non-dominant side in a fetal position and try to have their spine flat, all right, or neutral. Meaning I need them to sink into the mattress just a little bit, and I need their head to probably be elevated just a little bit for a nice neutral spine. You're on your side and you're in a fetal position, and biologically you're signaling that you're safe and you're in a protected position. Your internal organs are protected. You have your dominant hand free to protect yourself, and your genitalia is protected. And a lot of people laugh at that, but it's biological, right? These are when you're asleep in the wild, like these are the things you needed to protect, right? Because it's predicated on your survival. So yes, we're going to that extreme to talk about our athletes sleeping on their side, protecting their genitals, and having their dominant hand free to fight. And it sounds silly, but that's just a little thing for an edge. And when you're trying to break American records and you're trying to be creative in how you solve that problem, you need these things, okay? Memory foam mattress or memory foam topper, hypoallergenic or anti-allergen type sheets. You know, they sell this stuff everywhere. I mean, you can find some stuff that's anti-allergen and things like that. And that's mainly so that your airway stays, you know, nice and open and things like that. In extreme cases, you're trying to minimize the amount of heat that is generated in the bed. So if an athlete's married or has a spouse or a boyfriend, girlfriend they live with, we might ask them to actually sleep in separate rooms or separate beds just to optimize that sleeping condition. Okay. Remember, when you're asleep, this is when the majority of your recovery happens. All right. So we don't want to take sleep lightly. We want you to get the most out of your sleep. All right. We also suggest, there's research that shows that too many light intrusions after dark cause people to have poor sleep. Okay, so you've seen a lot of the devices and the apps that make the computer screen or your e-reader have a yellow background or something like that, where it's not that bright blue light coming at you. Okay, so it's just basically trying to block that light. We suggest that the athletes take 60 to 90 minutes to wind down in a room that's not their bedroom, okay, so they can de-stress, relax, get their hormones to kind of settle down a little bit. And you're basically thinking, again, if you go back to thinking about the primal things, you're getting your body signaled from going light to dark. Okay, so it's basically nighttime's getting ready to happen. You need your body to realize that. Okay, same thing happens when you wake up. We want you to go from dark to light. Okay, so we want you to spend some time acclimating when you wake up. And this doesn't have to be extreme, right? So 60 to 90 minute wind down period where you're meditating, reading, or doing a relaxing activity, not on a screen device. All right. Meditation, that like scares people because they think that they need to be very Zen and Buddha, but meditation can be as simple as just relaxing with your thoughts or trying to think about nothing. Personally, I like to read like paperback books. Okay, that's what relaxes me. After that, then you go slip into your bed, lay on the side, protect your genitals, have your fighting arm free, calm yourself down, and you get a good night's sleep. Okay. You want your sleep space to be cool, and you want that body to remain in a comfortable state. Okay. Now, when you wake up in the morning, you're trying to undo that process. So you're going to wake up going from dark to light. We're going to ask that you spend 15 minutes doing yoga or meditation again, preferably out in the sunlight. Even in colder climates like Indiana, here we are. It gets cold, it gets hot, and we still ask that the athletes go outside in the morning, first thing in the morning, just to kind of wake themselves up and get their mental state ready to take on the day's training that's coming their way. So even though sleep is such a small, kind of boring topic, there's all these nuances within it that we want to maximize on. Again, looking for that little bit of an edge that helps our weightlifters perform better than anyone else.